starts now with a breaking news alert.
That breaking news coming out of Port Huron, where at least 3 people have been shot. They are minors, and police telling us at least 2 of them are minors, we believe. It's all unfolding on Glenview Court near Lake Huron Circle and Craft Road. It's a scene that's still developing, and we are getting new information as we speak. We want to get out to Nick Monticelli. He's on the scene, which is why you see me here on Local 4 Live. Nick, we don't have Nick at this moment. We don't have him. Well, we're trying to get an update from Nick here in a moment. Oh, we do have Nick, I'm being told. Nick, what can you tell us?
Hey, Jason. So this is a vantage point from just outside of the complex where the shooting happened. We're told that 3 people have been shot. All 3 are in critical condition, and 2 of them are minors. Now, their exact ages is something we are working on. As we start to show you around the apartment complex here, I just talked to the deputy chief for the Port Huron Police Department. He said they are still in the kind of fact-gathering phase here, as they have all their investigators from the city and Michigan State Police here looking around this area. They believe this incident was a domestic violence type of situation, so they don't think that there is a threat to the public. In fact, I believe that the suspect is already in custody. But as you can see out here, there are multiple law enforcement agencies between Michigan State Police and Port Huron. There are also lots of residents out here trying to figure out exactly what is going on. There is a crime scene vehicle here, as well as Port Huron Police. And this entire side of the complex is taped off. You can see that yellow police tape that's going across right here. Nobody is allowed in or out of that area, and I would venture there's probably at least 24 or more units involved. It sounds like the shooting happened inside of one of these units. Which one, I can't tell you right now, because from this vantage point, we have no idea. But again, it appears that 3 people were shot in some kind of domestic violence situation. 2 of them are minors. I don't know their ages just yet. All they can tell me is that they're under the age of 18. All 3 are in critical condition, and it appears the suspect is already in custody. We don't know the who, we don't know the why. All those details are things that the deputy chief said he'd be trying to get me in about 10 or 15 minutes. So I think the next time that we're able to check in with you, we should have some more information, at least on the condition of those victims, if they are able to survive or if they have passed away, and maybe what kind of led up to this, at the very least, if we know a suspect is in custody. But you can see, Jason, as we kind of show around this area, there are people everywhere between Michigan State Police and the Port Huron Police Department, and there are a lot of residents in this apartment complex kind of waking up on this Thursday morning and peeking outside wondering what the heck is going on.
Yeah, as people are headed to school. And Nick, the only other detail I can give is that I picked up in the newsroom a little while ago was that these minors, they believe, are teenagers. So perhaps they were headed to middle school this morning or high school. We don't know that. But it doesn't seem to appear from what I'm seeing through your lens there that there's any sort of panic there in the apartment complex.
No, and again, originally, as we've said lots of times during breaking news situations, the information that we hear over the scanner and what actually happened are 2 sometimes drastically different things. Originally, it sounded like this was a situation outside, but now it appears that whatever happened was a domestic situation, likely inside one of these units. So there is a good chance that all the victims are related to each other, or at least knew each other and were inside one unit at the time, because again, I do not see any evidence of a shooting outside. If I did, I would see more evidence technicians and evidence markers on the ground somewhere. So that tells me that the shooting happened inside one of these units.
Yeah, well, we'll try and get some more answers soon. All right, Nick, we appreciate it for sure. Nick Monticelli live in Port Huron for us this morning with an update on that. And as soon as we get those updates, we'll post those at Click on Detroit for you. And of course, bring them to you here on Local 4 Plus. Any new information that we get from police or from Nick at the scene. Now to the other big news headlining all across America this morning. That's the manhunt underway in Utah to find who shot and killed conservative activist Charlie Kirk while he was speaking at an event at Utah Valley University. This was part of his college tour that he does, where he takes questions and answers from students in the crowd. Tributes are pouring in from both sides of the political aisle for Kirk, who co-founded Turning Points USA in 2012 and inspired millions of young supporters, helping mobilize the youth vote for President Donald Trump. Witnesses say thousands gathered to hear him speak when someone fired from a rooftop 200 yards away, a long-distance shot. Kirk leaves behind a wife and 2 young children. And it's the tragic killing of Charlie Kirk at the university there in Utah that came just hours before a shooting at a high school in Denver. 2 students were hurt in that shooting. Video showing panicked students running. And when we say Colorado and a school shooting and seeing students like this, you can't help but remember Columbine nearly 30 years ago. Police got to that school within 2 minutes of the shooting, found the suspect. They say the teen was taken to the hospital after shooting themselves. That teen later died. They believe that teen was the shooter. A live look in Mount Clemens this morning. If you live in Macomb County, well, you might actually get a call from the county prosecutor tonight. Pete Lucido hosting a telephone town hall around 6:30 p.m. this evening to talk about safe gun storage, teen gun violence, and suicide prevention. About 300,000 residents will receive this call, joining Lucido and Dennis Leggio, who works to prevent suicide by gun violence. It's National Suicide Prevention Month, so anyone who has lost a loved one or is struggling with self-harm, encouraged to call into this. But Lucido is also talking about safe gun storage, especially because guns are often used when it comes to suicide. He's going to talk about the free gun locks that are available and new storage laws in place and the consequences if you don't secure your firearm.
When you go ahead and don't safely store your guns and your child picks it up, or a neighbor child comes into your house, your grandchildren, the one that's going to be affected by the law is the adult. It's the adult and all of us that have to step up and know that we have to take our guns out of play, and that means put them in a gun safe or put a lock on them. Locks are free. There's no reason not to lock guns up when you have children walking around or being around. And if you're a parent and the child uses the gun, you could lose your parental rights.
Lucido also emphasized they're not trying to suppress or take away anyone's gun rights. This is just about being knowledgeable and informed and when it comes to storing your guns. If you'd like to be part of that town hall meeting tonight, there's a QR code right here. Scan that. It'll get you right to the place where you can register for that. You can also visit the Macomb County Prosecutor's website. Take a live look at Lake St. Clair this morning, because that's where they're trying to get rid of the muck. Later this morning, or coming up next, we're talking with State Representative from Lansing on a proposal she wants lawmakers to wedge into this budget, which, by the way, is at a stalemate, to clean up the lake. We'll see if she expects that to get legs. Welcome back here on Local 4 Live as you take a look at Lake St. Clair this morning from Fairhaven. And while it looks pretty clean from afar, there is a bothersome blue-green algae known as the muck that's taking over. In fact, if you look, you might be able to see a little bit of it there. Now, a Macomb County lawmaker is pushing for $800,000 in state funding to study ways to remove the algae and pilot those cleanup efforts. And this is a closer look at just what that muck looks like. This is at the Clinton Cut DNR boat launch on Jefferson in Harrison Township. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has been studying the muck since last year and could begin testing algicides if there's funding to do it. And that's where we are this morning, trying to get that funding. At least that's the goal of one state representative behind the efforts to do that. Representative Alicia St. Germain joining us this morning. Representative, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
I read that when you say you represent a lot of the folks who live on Lake St. Clair, and it's your job to educate those in Lansing about that. When you educate folks there that have no idea about the lake, what do you tell them?
It's the heart of the Great Lakes. It's the economic impact of Lake St. Clair is very important to all of Michigan. We're not a Great Lake, but we're quite important. You know, boating destination best in the world, second best fishing in the world. It's a great place.
It really does feel like one of an unofficial Great Lake when you think about it. Anybody who's been on there,
yeah.
You take that day trip over across the lake, find a place to eat. We know that. Now, talk about what's happening there. We just showed some pictures of the muck that's really getting in the way, but talk about what that is and just how expansive throughout the lake it's become.
Yeah, so it's getting worse. It's accumulating around people's homes in front of, it's as bad as residents that live on the lake, they can't even open up their windows because of the smell of the muck. You can't fish by it. You can't get a boat through it. It's really bothersome.
I would think that the smell alone really takes a real bite out of the property values. If anybody was looking to sell their home, that's obviously got to be a huge problem there.
Absolutely. I would be devastated.
How
if
long
I
have you
had
been
this in front of my home?
Yeah, absolutely. How long has this been going on? And I guess how long has it really gotten to this point?
It's the MOI has been around for about 20 years, but in the last couple years, it has gotten quite worse. It keeps accumulating. So if we don't dredge it, mitigate it, and treat it, we're going to be in big trouble.
And I know I've read some articles where we've talked to people who have lived right there on the lake, and they've talked about like what you've mentioned, the smell, the appearance of what it does to their property. Now, you're hoping to get $800,000 in this budget. I want to talk about the likelihood of that. Obviously, we're in a huge stalemate, but talk to me about what this $800,000 is going to go for.
So it will go to the Army Corps of Engineers and the Macomb County Public Works Office, and they will use it to just mitigate it, to bring in contractors, dredge it, and then experiment with different algicides to treat it. So
it's more than you're not just testing it, you're also trying to remove what's there, but also is there a testing in there to work on future prevention?
Yeah, there's the state of Alabama. So the MOI is not native to Lake St. Clair or Michigan. There are other states that have had to deal with this, and the state of Alabama, they were pretty successful. They were able to get rid of the muck by almost 80%. So it is doable.
The budget that was just passed in the House, so your chamber, which is Republican-led, included this $800,000. Have you talked to your colleagues on the Democratic side to see if this is actually going to make it into the final state budget?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Our senator, I've had quite a few conversations with him, and he is in total agreement that this is really important to all of Michigan, not just the district.
Do you get a sense? I know this is definitely going to be a smaller budget. I think $4 billion fewer dollars are going to be there. But do you feel confident this will be there when it all gets hammered out?
I do. It's an investment on return on investment.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I'm sure a lot of folks on the lake are very happy to hear that. If for some reason you don't get it, what's the worst case scenario? I mean, I assume you've had this conversation with some of your colleagues, maybe on the Democratic side, who are thinking, well, maybe that can go somewhere else. But when you lay it out and say, if we don't get this money, this is what's going to happen.
We're going to lose tourism. All of Michigan will lose. So I am doing everything I can to get this through. It is very important.
I would also think you probably have an ally in Candace Miller on this to help push this over the goal line.
Oh, she's a rock star.
Her fingerprints have been on a lot of things like that. Well,
oh yeah, I look up to her. Yeah.
Last thing, and I'll let you go. Does it bother you at all that this stalemate is taking so long, and we could be headed for a possible shutdown? I don't know what your thoughts are on that with some of the negotiations. I don't know how well on the inside you are there, but are you worried? Number one, there will be a shutdown, then that just drags this out longer.
Of course, I encourage everyone in Lansing to keep those conversations going. We really need to get this done and over the finish line.
All right. Well, Representative St. Germain, we certainly appreciate your time, and I think this is one of those rare things where everybody can get behind what the issue is and try and do some good here. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks. Thanks for having me. Representative
St. Germain. The days may be numbered, but we are ending our week with a good taste of summer. Ashley's back with your full forecast in a minute, including some possible chances of rain this weekend. I hope you got your car washed on Monday, like I did. We're also checking in on breaking news. This is out of Port Huron, where we just learned 3 people were shot this morning. All 3 are minors, we believe. At least 2 are teenagers, and one of them has died, we're being told. You're looking live at the scene on Glenview Court near Lake Huron Circle and Craft Road. So that is new information that one of these 3 shot has died now. We are being told one person has been arrested, and they believe the shooter knew those victims. We're going to check in with Nick Monticelli, who is there on the scene gathering more information in just a moment. All right, beautiful start out there. The sunrise was gorgeous in a few spots. Hey, look at that. My little Facebook address is up there. That is my Local 4 Facebook page address. I just hadn't seen it like that in quite a while. Drop me a comment if you ever get over there to the old Book of Face. Happy to answer it and chat about whatever. But speaking of the sunrise and weather today, man, what a resurgence of summer this week. Let's check in with Ashley to keep those good vibes going.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, here are the takeaways in your weather story. What you need to know as you head out and about today and throughout the rest of the week. So we're going to be right around 80 degrees both today and tomorrow. And as far as the weekend, we hover with similar temperatures, but there's a chance for rain that exists. And we're going to give you a look at the timeline in just a moment here. Now, next week, not a huge fluctuation with those temperatures. We're still going to be into the upper 70s and low 80s for the next 7 days. And so it's still officially summer. And it's going to feel that way. Today's forecast as we go throughout the rest of your day, plan for sunshine and highs right around 80 degrees. So we are going to be just a few degrees above average. But let's first talk rain before we talk about that above average stretch. So today, tomorrow, dry. But I do want to draw your attention to that moisture from the north that starts to sink south into our region, southeast Michigan, by Saturday night. So late Saturday evening through Saturday night. Not going to rule out rain chances across the area or a non-severe thunderstorm, but it looks like by the time we get to daybreak, we're drying things out and we'll have decreasing clouds. So as far as that rain chance, I think it times out pretty well with daylight activities that this could be more of an overnight event than anything. So Friday football will be dry, feeling nice. It will be at 75 degrees for the kickoffs around town. Under the lights, we fall to 68 degrees. Our Local 4 game of the week, Rochester Adams taking on West Bloomfield. And then for college football, well, there's a lot happening across the state on Saturday, starting with Ann Arbor. Noon kickoff, we have Michigan taking on Central Michigan. 77 degrees, warming up to 81 with a little more cloud cover, but that's the peak heat of the day by the time the game is done. And then we should have a few clouds for tailgating over in East Lansing around the lunch hour, but kickoff not till 3:30. We'll be at that peak temperature at that point, sliding into the 70s by game's end. I did put that slight chance for rain at the end of the game, though I think it will likely arrive after we get past the game and after sunset. And then I'm going to pad that timeline with a chance for a shower or two for tailgating in the morning on Sunday. But honestly, by the time we get to daybreak, I think we're drying things out and we should be pretty dry. So kickoff 1 o'clock at Ford Field on Sunday against the Bears. 74 degrees at that point as you're walking into the field and right around 80 as you're leaving Ford Field. Temperature outlook, not just in the 6 to 10 day outlook, but now we're tagging on day by day, taking us in the end of September, and we are trending above average with the Climate Prediction Center's outlook. So it's a summer stretch, and we're not officially in fall for 11 more days. 50 days until Halloween, 77 until Thanksgiving, when we're going to be live along Woodward Avenue. Christmas, 105 days away. So it's hard to imagine that next week we're going to be talking about that countdown only in double digits. 7-day forecast, hovering around 80 for 7 days, and those overnight lows pretty seasonal. 50s right around 60.
We're back on the TV side in a second with a Local 4 news update, and that will include some breaking news that we've been following out of Port Huron. Then at 8:30, we're going to take you to New York City, where a memorial ceremony for those who died on 9/11 is about to get underway. We are continuing to follow some breaking news out of Port Huron this morning. We have just learned a boy has been killed and 2 others critically hurt in a shooting at an apartment. We're told all of those victims are under the age of 18. The apartment complex is on Glenview Court near Lake Huron Circle and Craft Road. Police telling us they have a suspect in custody. We'll keep you updated on this story. Click on Detroit.com. At Ground Zero in New York City, in about 20 minutes, the 9/11 memorial ceremony will start. The names of thousands of victims who died 24 years ago will be read by family members and loved ones. There will also be moments of silence starting at 8:46 this morning to mark the moment the plane hit the first tower and then the moment the towers fell. All of that's going to be on Local 4 Plus coming at you live. We'll also get Ashley's forecast here in a few minutes. Stay here.
Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
We just got an update on that breaking news out of Port Huron. We've learned a boy has died and 2 others are critical from a shooting. We're told all 3 victims are under the age of 18. It's unfolding at that apartment complex you just saw. It's on Glenview Court near Lake Huron Circle and Craft Road. We want to get out to Nick Monticelli, who is live there after just talking to police. Nick?
Yeah, I just talked to the deputy chief here in Port Huron. These are the Glenview Garden apartments here, and we're going to show you exactly where this shooting happened. It is the apartment that is directly on the other side of that police tape there on the first floor. As we zoom in, and you can see there are some things strewn about on the outside of this unit here. The deputy chief saying that all 3 victims are under the age of 18. One of them has died. The other 2 are in critical condition, and they are being transferred from a Port Huron hospital to a hospital that is in the Detroit area for some more extensive care. You can see there are still investigators spending a great deal of time on the outside here, some guarding the crime scene inside of that unit. Others have been walking around the backside of this unit here off to the right-hand side of your screen. You can see more investigators from not only the Port Huron Police Department, but also the Michigan State Police. You can see one right there. That's actually a resident, my mistake. But you can see there are lots of investigators here working this. The deputy chief did say that the suspect in this case is already in custody, and also added that this is a domestic violence situation and that there was never a threat or a harm to anybody, the public outside of this unit. What actually happened, the why behind this, we certainly do not know right now, but we will be getting another update from the Port Huron Police Department at about 9 o'clock, so 30 minutes from now. But to recap, 3 victims shot, all under the age of 18. 1 has died, 2 others in critical condition and actually being taken to hospitals in Detroit. The deputy chief also added that there were 2 other people inside the apartment as well, the mother and another adult-aged child. So a lot of things are changing out here. Again, we'll have more information in about 30 minutes or so. For now, we're live here in Port Huron. Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
An unfortunate update, to be sure, Nick. All right, we appreciate it. We will have updates all day on this story here on Local 4 Plus. Plus, any new information we get will be posted immediately at clickondetroit.com. Today, we pause to remember the lives lost 24 years ago in the 9/11 terror attacks. Right now, we're taking a live look at the 9/11 Memorial in New York City, where family members will soon start reading the names of those who were taken from us. We'll join that ceremony here in just a few minutes. On the morning of September 11, 2001, 4 planes leaving East Coast airports were hijacked by terrorists. American Airlines Flight 11 hit the North Tower at 8:46 a.m. and just 17 minutes later, United Flight 175 hit the South Tower. Both of those towers collapsed within 2 hours, which was shocking to anyone who was watching the live coverage. It just didn't seem possible that these 2 incredible structures could collapse, but they did. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon in Virginia, and the final plane, United Flight 93, saw passengers fight back after learning about those other attacks, and they fought those hijackers and forced that plane to crash into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, before it could reach its target, which was presumed to be the White House in Washington, D.C. The attacks killed 2,977 people, leaving families and communities forever changed. Today, President Donald Trump will honor those victims at the Pentagon and attend a New York Yankees game tonight, while Vice President J.D. Vance will join the ceremony at Ground Zero. That Yankees game, by the way, will be against the Detroit Tigers. So we'll see that happening later today. This is a live look at Campus Martius, where things are happening to remember 9/11 today as well. Detroit first responders will hold a memorial service for the lives lost. First responders will gather there at Campus Martius and will include a procession of emergency vehicles, remarks from city officials, and a video featuring 2 Detroit firefighters who went to Ground Zero following those attacks. They will share their story and bravery and courage that they put on display after those events 24 years ago. This service is to honor the lives lost and those lives that will never be forgotten.
I think as we get further away, it's a little bit easier to kind of take it for granted or forget about, the people that we lost and the work of the first responders. And so the goal is just to make sure that we remember all of them and to also give everyone a space to come together and to remember the events.
At least 42 people who died in the September 11th attacks were either from, born, or had connections here to Michigan. So we'll be following there, and as soon as that gets going today in New York, as we see, you can see the former mayor of New York City right there. That's Rudy Giuliani, who's seated in that picture there. Giuliani was just recently hurt in an automobile crash and left him seriously hurt. But as you remember, 24 years ago, he was the mayor of New York City. And if you remember that coverage, after this all happened, he was called America's mayor for what he did in trying to calm the city and lead that city through what was happening there. You see the current mayor of New York, Eric Adams, as well as some other lawmakers there behind him as they get ready for what we've seen happen every year now when it comes to 9/11. And we will certainly see much more probably on display next year when it will be the 25th anniversary, but where they spend quite a bit of time reading the names of everyone who died. And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't also talk about the first responders who died months and years after the fact from what they endured down at Ground Zero and some of the health effects that they suffered because of that. That's going to do it for our show here on Local 4 Live, everybody. We're going to send you to New York City now, where that memorial is just about to get underway. Have a great day. And we're joined now by Mark Clair, the Executive Director of the Arts Initiative, and Mary Jo Desprez. Did I get it right? Desprez. I should have asked ahead of time. Come on. Wolverine Wellness Director. Great to see you guys here. Thank you so much for coming in. Mark, first tell me about the initiative here.
So the University of Michigan Arts Initiative is basically a campus-wide catalyst for just bringing the arts into everything we do at Michigan, making a real core commitment to the arts in our service, learning, and research mission.
Ms. Desprez, tell me how Wolverine Wellness got involved in this and why it's so important.
So this innovation really looks at sort of some big initiatives at the University of Michigan. Obviously, Mark's the Arts Initiative, sort of clinical interaction, and then sort of connecting that to arts activity. So Wolverine Wellness's job is to be that connector role when we have a referral and we want to get somebody to an arts experience. They're going to help fill that role.
And this is all about improving mental health.
Well, it's really about a thriving community in all dimensions. I mean, we want our students to be enormously successful, but also lead really meaningful and sort of engaged lives. And one of the things, there's actually research from all around the world that shows that the arts are really part of that thriving, successful life. And so we have this amazing medical system at the university. We have this amazing sort of arts treasures, University Musical Society, the museum, the School of Music, Theater, and Dance, the Arts, Stamp School of Art and Design, our Taubman School of Architecture, LSA has all sorts of arts. So,